Okay, lay down, guys. All right. I have not put the dogs in their houses again. And the worst part is their nails. We have hardwood floors everywhere, and they get groomed regularly, but still their nails on the floor is it's like little tap dances. So hopefully you guys just lay down. We're fine. We're all good. If they see somebody walk by the window, we're going to be in trouble. So I really don't want to have to start this over. So please lay down. Okay. A few topics to discuss. Honestly, I swear to God, every time I go to record, even when it's like a guest episode, that's when I get all my deliveries. That's when they pick up the garbage. That is when all the things happen. Jehovah's Witness come to the door, whatever it is. So anyways, let's just get this done. I really want to go have a hot bath, the hottest bath. I take baths scalding hot. So I remember my husband, because this is what happens. I fill the bath up way too hot, and then it takes me forever to get in the bath because I'm dipping my toe, put my foot all the way in. It's melting. And then so I remember I was standing in the bath. The water was up to my knees at this point. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's too hot to get in." So I'm just slowly, acclimating to the bathtub. And I lifted my leg up out of the water, and there was a distinct red line from where the bath water was to my regular skin color. And my husband was like, "Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you?" And I was like, "That's how I like my baths." And so every once in a while I have a bath with Milo, and it's lukewarm in my opinion. He thinks it's hot, and I'm like, "This is not hot. This is almost uncomfortable." Anywho, the first topic. So I have done 2 acupuncture treatments so far. Remember, I was always complaining about my jaw. And for me, I think a lot of people get jaw issues, and the pain is actually in their jaw area. So your big muscles, your masseter area, and going up into where your ear bone things are. So for me, I carry a ton of tension in my jaw, but I don't necessarily have pain in that area. However, if I were to get a massage, have you ever had a massage of your jaw, internally, in your mouth? It is, you don't think you have jaw issues until someone starts pressing on the actual muscles on the inside of your mouth. It is your eyes will start watering. It's terrible. Maybe not if you don't have tension in your jaw, but for me, oh my God. And so I know that the muscles are not okay, but I don't get pain there during the day. It's not I'm "Oh, my jaw hurts." If I try and eat a granola bar, after 2 bites of just a basic ass granola bar, not a Nutri-Grain bar, but the chewy ones, my jaw is instantly fatigued. I can barely keep eating the granola bar. So I know my jaw is fucked. But anyways, and then every time I go to the dentist and they do the full checkup of your jaw and stuff, and they press on your jaw muscle and they're like, "Okay, open, close." They're like, "Jesus Christ." I'm like, "I know, it's messed up." But anyway, I have not gone to do anything for my jaw because I'm not in a ton of pain. I do have crazy neck pain all the time, and people are always like, "Oh, that can totally be connected." My trap muscles, my neck, my jaw, I'm sure everything is just all connected. So when I got Invisalign, he was like, "I'm going to give you a retainer thing that will, it prevents you from being able to close your back teeth down on each other." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great." So I've been wearing like night guard things to prevent my back teeth from touching all night. Took a little while to get used to sleep with, but it's totally fine. I wear it every single night. It's not like I'm one of those people that's like, oh yeah, I wear it, but like don't actually wear it every night. I wear it every single night. And my jaw is not that much different. If anything, like I noticed that my back teeth, like I haven't been pressing down. So there's like a little bit of relief. But where I feel all my tension and pain is like in my temple area. And at home, I'm always like rubbing my temples. I'm like pressing on my husband's temples. I'm like, does this hurt you? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, like it's so tender and insanely sore. And so if you press on the muscle in like the temporal area, like even just doing this, like, oh my God, it's so crazy. So if I press here and then I bite down really hard, you can feel this muscle in the temple area like really contracting and like moving. So I started to notice that during the day, it's not like I hold tension in my jaw by biting down. That's not what I do. I'm like having my jaw in certain positions that like makes this whole area tense up. So anywho, long story short, oh my God, like take one little fucking topic, Renee, and like just talk for 20 minutes about your goddamn jaw. Anyways, this was supposed to be just like a quick little fucking story. So I mentioned the jaw pain thing and like the pain in my temples on Instagram, and people were like, try acupuncture. And I was like, oh, never even thought of that. Because my first thought was like, oh, I'm going to go get Botox, which I still might do like down the road. But I just want to say I've done 2 acupuncture treatments on my jaw, and like she puts them in the temporal area as well on top of my head. She also did like digestion points on my stomach and under my knees, like for hormones, and on my feet and in my hands. I was literally just like full of needles. So I did the first treatment, and even on the ride home from doing that, like I could open my jaw like so much easier with less resistance. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then after a few days, like even my neck isn't as sore, like just everything. Oh, she also did my traps, and she did like the dry needling in my traps, which is like incredible. If you can find someone that does dry needling and you have like tight in your neck and upper back area, do dry needling. It's insane and it's so effective. So anywho, like I'm just feeling so much looser and like not so like wound up and tight, and so I loved it. And then the digestion points, I was like, oh, what's this gonna do? Like silly, like just putting needles in my stomach, The next day I had 2 good poops, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So that was weird. And the next time I went to go see her, so I did the first acupuncture on a Tuesday, and then the second one was on Saturday. And on Saturday, I started to ovulate in the morning. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I get wildly painful ovulation. And, I always remember, because the thing is, I was on birth control from like 16 until like 28, let's say. So for all those years, like you're putting hormones into your body. And so everything was masked. Like I remember being in high school, and when I first got my period, my cramps were so bad. It was like debilitating. I would have to stay home from school. And everyone's like nobody fucking says anything. And it's just like, oh yeah, okay. Like, oh yeah, period cramps. Like that's normal. And then I never noticed like ovulation pain when I was a teenager. But then I started the pill, and then that made everything better. Like didn't have any period cramps. Like my periods were like light and like hardly anything, and loved it. So I stayed on the pill forever. Then when I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna, we're gonna start soon trying to have a kid, then I got off the pill. And I was like, holy shit. Like periods are crazy heavy, crazy cramping again. for like when my period starts, and then wild ovulation pain, like for 12 hours straight. Like I can't even describe the pain. It's like dull, achy sensation. Like you feel like you have to like poop. Like, are you going to have diarrhea? Like, is there like a bowling ball being on your stomach? Your lower back hurts. Like it's just crazy uncomfortable. And so I would always take medication and then put a heating pad on. And like I would take two medication. I think I would take like naproxen and Tylenol, and that would really help. But I'm like, this is not okay. Like, why is this happening to me? And then I would go and tell a doctor, and they'd be like, oh, well, you're lucky. You know when you're ovulating, so you know when to have sex to have a kid. I'm like, thank you so much for your help. So anyways, now I'm like just annoyed at all these little things, and I just kind of want to be like my best self and feel good. So I went to do the acupuncture for my jaw thing. I'm like, this is stupid. It's just getting worse. Was super effective. On the Saturday, like I was saying before I went on that rampage, I had started to get the ovulation pain in the morning, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like a shit day. But I went to my appointment. It was at 11:30 a.m., but I could feel like the cramping and the uncomfortableness brewing all morning. And I just happened to like mention it to her. I was like, oh, I'm starting like to ovulate. I'm getting that like pain. And she was like, okay, I'll put in some acupuncture needles like in the reproductive system areas. So I don't know the terminology, guys. So I'm like, okay. So again, like the digestion points, I was like, what's this going to do? Like little needles in my reproductive system. So she does it. And I noticed in this one spot when she put in one of those ones, it was like so achy and like I could feel it. For the most part, you hardly even feel the acupuncture needles going in. They're so small. So she puts all the needles in, she leaves for a while. I'm just like hanging out there with needles in my body. And she comes back. I was waiting that day to get the wild ovulation pain, and it never came. Like it just went away and then it never came. And I haven't even told her this yet, but I'm going to tell her probably before this airs. But I was shocked. Like I was waiting for it, like where did it go? Like, and the whole reasoning behind it is like the needles draw blood into the area, like it increases blood flow in that area. So a lot of the times cramping is like, okay, I'm just going to stop talking right there because I don't really know what I'm saying, but it brings blood to the area and that's a good thing. It like gets rid of toxins and whatever. But I should look into that more. I should get like an acupuncture specialist on and we can talk about all this stuff. But anyways, it was crazy. So then today's Monday when I'm recording this, and I did my first workout because I found this gym that is somewhat nearby and Milo's school is kind of on the way. So I was like, okay, they have a 9:30 class every single day and it alternates as to what it is. So it can be like yoga, it can be Pilates, it can be boot camp, like a circuit thing. So I'm like, that's perfect. And now I literally don't have an excuse because I can drop Milo off and just keep going all the way there, do the 9:30 class and come home. Initially, I was thinking about doing CrossFit, but it's a lot further away and the scheduling is not as ideal. So this works out perfectly. It's like a small little studio. So today, of course, the first class is boot camp. And I'm like, okay, Renee, you can do this. Like, let's do it. So I ate a banana on my way there because I'm not much of like a morning. Like I drink water, I drink coffee. I don't really usually eat until like 10:30, 11. So I made myself eat a banana on the way there. I went there and like I was so terrified, but I was like, you can do this. Like You can do this. And even if you can't, like, big whoop, you know, at least just go try. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I should just not start on Monday and start on Tuesday when it's not like a boot camp. But I was like, fuck it, Renee, like, you go and do it. Now moving forward, I probably won't go on Mondays. It's not always boot camp on Mondays. Like, it changes all the time. But I'm thinking Monday is going to be my like crush work for the entire week. Like, get all the podcast stuff done, uploaded, ready to go, so that you are less like pressed for time Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because by the time I get home, it's like just before 11 a.m. So like I usually start my workday at 9 a.m. sharp. So it's like taking 2 hours out of my day every single day is like a lot. So yeah, and I also want to start my new podcast in the new year. So yeah, like look at me just adding to my schedule and not getting rid of anything. Yeah, story of my life. Anywho, I made it through the class. We did, the thing that killed me the most was push-ups, because I have the weak, like I'm a strong person. I would say like I'm pretty strong. I've been active my whole life. Like I'm very like aware of like movements. Like if somebody gives me something to do, like I can do it. But like my arms, and it's because I have fucking brutal shoulders, fatigue right away. It's like my fucking jaw. Like my jaw fatigues right away eating a granola bar. My arms fatigue, not my arms. Yeah, my arms and my shoulders fatigue doing push-ups like right away. Instant fatigue. So the very first like circuit thing we had to do, it was like thrusters, which is like you go down into a squat with the weight and then you go up and like push it up over your head. Then it was, oh fuck, I don't remember. Oh, kettlebell swings. And then it was push-ups. So I like do the one round, do the second round. And I was like, okay, my arms are fucking done. Like I could barely lift my water bottle to my mouth. Like I was in trouble. And then the next circuit of things included the big heavy ropes that you like swing up and down. Oh my God. For the first like 10, we were only doing it for 30 seconds. And so for the first 10 seconds, I'm like, okay, this is fine. After 10 seconds, it is like a quick, like the first 10 seconds is like, oh, okay, like I'm doing it. This is good. The second it's like 10 seconds into it, it's not a gradual, like I'm going to die. It's instant. It's like, okay, I'm doing it. This is fine. I can make the 30 seconds. Right at the 10-second mark, boom. No, you're done. Like you cannot go any longer. So I was like, oh, like the sounds that come out of my mouth, like it just helps me get through it if I make sounds, because it's like you're complaining, like you're getting it off your chest. You know, you're like, this fucking sucks. Anyways, I made it through. I have this thing where my nervous system, like when I haven't worked out in a long time and then I go and do stuff like this, my body is like, what the fuck is happening? And it just wants to like throw up. And I think I remember reading about this because when I started CrossFit years ago, I would throw up like in the car on the way home. Like I had to throw up in one of Muffin's poop bags on my drive home from CrossFit one day. Like your nervous system is just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, bleh, I'm just going to like get rid of whatever's in my stomach. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to have diarrhea, like nothing like that. It's like, I'm going to throw up. Oops, sorry. But I didn't throw up. I just like made it through the class. And then, tomorrow is the reformer Pilates, you know, like the big wooden machine with like the handcuffs and whatnot. Like, so that's what is tomorrow. So I'm excited to try that. This is my new life. I go and I do a workout class at 9:30. There's a coffee shop nearby. I might start going there on my way home, getting a coffee or a nice latte. I didn't stop today because I was concerned about my well-being. So I'm like, Renee, just like make it home. But once I'm, you know, more used to working out, I think I could stop at the coffee shop on my way home. Also, something that maybe you're not aware of, and maybe this doesn't happen to you, but it happens to me. Do you ever work out and find yourself yawning? And you're like, why the fuck am I yawning in the middle of a workout class? And it's because your body's trying to get oxygen. I learned that. I probably looked it up. Like, why am I dying during a workout class? And it's like, your body's trying to get oxygen, and the best way to get oxygen is to yawn. So that's interesting. Okay, where am I at for time? 21 minutes. I have to pee, but I can make it. Okay. So I've been keeping this list before I get into the 3 kinds of books that there are in the world. And I came to this conclusion last night when I was reading my Kindle. I'm still reading The Club, in case you're wondering. It's a Reese's book club pick. And I told my husband that. I was like, yeah, it's a Reese's. I was telling him like the premise of the book because it's a cool premise. And I was like, it's a Reese's book club pick because this is one of the ones that Milo accidentally bought on my Kindle. Like my friend just like handed Milo my Kindle and it was on like the library or whatever, or like the bookstore, whatever you want to call it. And so he bought 3 books and this was one of the books. And I was like, well, at least it's a Reese's book club pick. Like maybe it's a good one. So anyways, I tell my husband that it's a Reese's book club pick and he's like, Reese's peanut butter cups? I was like, no, Reese Witherspoon, sweetie. Anyways, that was my little joke. I'm going to take a drink. I know you don't want me to say that, but my mom even made fun of me. She's like, haha, that girl mentioned that you say that you're going to take a drink before you take a drink. I always wonder that. Like, why are you telling us that? Like, just take a freaking drink. I'm like, oh my God, Mom. Like, because it's weird. Okay? Because I know not everybody's watching on YouTube. And so people are going to be like, where'd she go? Is my stereo off? I don't know. Maybe this is my own problem. Anyways, I've been keeping a list. Before I get into the 3 kinds of books that there are, I've been making a list about things that make me irrationally rage internally. Usually I don't have like outward expressions of rage, but like internal. I'm like, I'm going to fucking punch a wall, but I don't. But anyways, only because I'm worried I'm going to hurt myself. Otherwise I would. But okay, number 1, not being able to open a banana. Has that ever happened to someone? Like you're like, oh, grab a banana. You go to open it and it's like fucking impossible to open. Rage. And it just happened to me yesterday or the day before. I couldn't open it and I like handed it to my mom in the car. I'm like, can you open this? And she's like, oh, Jesus Christ, like trying to open the banana. I was like, drives me nuts. And oftentimes it's because they're not ripe enough. So the peels are like fucking rock solid. So if you flip it over and you open it like monkeys do, like you like pinch the butt of the banana and like peel it open, it's way easier. But for some reason, I don't like opening them like that. Okay, so not being able to open a banana. Number 2, when I'm blow drying my hair and the cord, because I like round brush my hair like to blow dry it. So I'm constantly like putting the hair dryer down, like picking it back up, like getting different sections, blow drying it out. When I go to pick up the hair dryer and the cord gets caught on the handle of the cabinet, rage. Like rage. Okay. Number 3, hitting my funny bone. Not funny. It actually really hurts. And if I hit it hard enough, my arm is like, it feels like it's in lava for a solid like 2 or 3 minutes. And I think I made this up in my head, but I think when I was younger, I fell off. I was playing in the backyard and I was on top of the shed that was in the backyard. Like, where were my parents? And I fell off the shed, and on my way down, I smoked my arm on the barbecue. And it was like the hardest you could ever possibly hit your funny bone. And I think from that day, I'm like scarred, and like I hold that trauma deep within me. And now when I hit my funny bone, it like takes me back to that memory. And I just remember like laying in the grass in the backyard. I'm going to ask my mom if she remembers this. Smoke my funny bone on the way down. I'm laying on the grass, just like crying, like screaming in the backyard. I don't know if like anyone came to find me. Like, I don't know what happened. I have a bad memory, but I do remember that So hitting funny bone, rage. Number 4, hiccups. And I mentioned this the other day and I got all kinds of cures for hiccups. The weirdest remedy was to remind yourself that you're not a fish, because apparently hiccups come from us being fish, evolutionarily speaking. I tried that the other day. It didn't work. One thing that usually does work, and I remember every time I would have hiccups, my brother would be like, tell me the next time you hiccup. And so I'd be like, okay. And if you wait, I'm like, oh, I have to tell him the next time I hiccup. It won't come. So anyways, there's that. What I always do if I can and if I'm at home is take a massive spoonful of just Kraft peanut butter and eat it. And it tastes good and it gets rid of your hiccups. So anyways, hiccups, rage. Number 5. This is my last one before I get into the 3 kinds of books and then we're done here, guys. Okay. Number 5. With technology nowadays, a lot of us have the fobs that open, you don't even need the key to open your fucking car anymore. It's oh, technology, you can just reach for it. And if the fob is on your person, the car door will open. Well, when there's a little glitch in technology and I go to open the fucking car door and it doesn't open, rage. Especially when my hands are full, I'm carrying stuff because now I have to go find my fucking key and actually put the fob against the door. It drives me nuts. And it happened this morning. I dropped Milo off at school. I'm rushing to get to my workout class. The key is tucked away in my pocket. Go to open the door, doesn't open. Go to open the door, doesn't open. I'm rage. Okay, so those were my 5. I will keep adding to the list and I will let you know as more things come up that make me rage. All right, 3 kinds of books and then we're done. Number 1, some books just suck. Okay. I start reading them and I'm meh, I'll give it a shot. And then I read a couple chapters and I'm eh. And then I read maybe another chapter and I'm fuck it. I'm not finishing this book. It's stupid. So there's books that suck. There's books that are really good. When I read Hotel Nantucket, I just enjoyed every moment, every chapter. I just loved the story and I was looking forward to reading it every day. It's just a good book. It's just a good book. Nothing crazy happened. There's no suspense of ooh, what's going to happen? Ooh. It was just a good fucking book. The 3rd kind of book in the world, which I think The Club, the one that I'm reading right now, falls into this category. The book sucks, but the premise of the book, the story, is good. So do I think this should be a movie? And I'm sure that's why Reese Witherspoon picked it for her book club, because she's going to make it into a show or something. It should be a movie or a show. The idea for the book, the story, the premise is great. I'm not enjoying necessarily reading it. I find my mind is drifting off as I'm reading my Kindle before bed. I'm not totally engaged, but I want to keep reading because I know that crazy shit is going to go down, or there's suspense, something's going to happen. So it's I'm not pumped to read it, but I feel I want to finish it because I want to know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? So those are the 3 categories. This book sucks. I'm not going to read it and I don't care. This book is awesome. I'm enjoying reading the whole thing, front to back. Love it. This book sucks, but I like the idea of the book and I know shit's going to go down, so I'm going to keep reading it. So those are my 3 books. If you think there's more categories of books, please let me know. So that's it for this one. Have I already said that the movie for December is Bad Moms Christmas? Very excited to watch it. I think I'm going to watch it with my husband because that's a funny fucking movie. I remember watching it years ago with my mare of all people. And And yeah, she texted me the other day. She was like, you should have this movie for your movie club. Like, remember how funny it was? And she was watching it at the time. I was like, good times. Anyway, so that's the movie for December. I'll probably have a little chit chat at the end of December about it. Of course, stay tuned for updates on the new podcast. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't know, but here we go. If you don't already, please follow us at the Mom Room Podcast on Instagram. And tell your friends about the podcast. The downloads have gone down. So at first the downloads were like skyrocketing to the fucking moon. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Now they've gone down a little bit. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to go the other way. So tell your friends about the podcast. Send someone you love an episode. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. So thanks for listening. And I hope your children sleep tonight and you think up a good idea for the goddamn elf on the shelf and you don't forget. My mom's so worried that I'm going to forget the elf on the shelf. I'm like, don't worry. If I forget, my husband will remember because he's that kind of person. So anywho, I was about to say good night. Good day, good night. Are you feeding your baby in the middle of the night? I don't know, but just good day. All right, I'm just going to stop. Bye.